Erica, also known as Story of Erica, over on Instagram. For today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you guys 15 or so items that sold very quickly in the month of February. I did one of these what sold quickly videos last month for January sales, and you guys seemed to really like it, so I think I'm going to make it an annual thing, and at the beginning of every month, I will tell you 15 or so things that sold very quickly for me in the previous month. Okay, so February. If I'm being perfectly honest with you guys, February was kind of terrible. My sales were definitely a bit slower in February than they normally are. I was getting kind of lower priced sales than I typically like to get as well. Of course, sales do fluctuate from month to month, and some are better than others, so I'm really hoping that I can kick butt in March and have a really good sales month. But I did have several things sell within hours of listing them, within a few days of listing them in the month of February, so I'm going to share those with you guys right now. The first sale I'm going to be sharing with you guys was this lace batwing blouse from the brand Beyond Vintage. Beyond Vintage is occasionally carried at Anthropologie, so I did mark it as an Anthropologie brand. I actually got this one at the bins, and it was photographing so horribly for me that I threw it in a basket, and I kind of threw that basket aside, and I did not end up listing it until a few months after my bins trip. Since the pictures weren't really coming out so great, I listed it a little bit lower than usual, and within a few hours of listing it, it accumulated a lot of likes, and I got an offer for $20 on it, which I accepted. Minus Poshmark's 20% fee, I was left with $16, and since I got it at the bins, that was actually a pretty decent flip, especially for how quickly it went. The next item that sold very quickly in the month of February was a beautiful light blue sweater from Loft. It was just a really basic, simple, like chunky knit sweater. And Loft items do really well for me, so if you guys do not pick up Loft, I highly suggest checking them out if you can find them in really good condition for a good price. I had listed this sweater at $29 and it sold for a best offer of $25. Minus Poshmark's 20% fee, I was left with $20, and I was very happy with that for it selling in I think 3 or 4 days. The next item that sold quickly was a Ann Taylor scalloped hem bell sleeve top, and it was the cutest thing ever. This one actually sold within the same hour that I had listed it. It was also a pretty small size, so I decided to take a lower offer on it and just move it out really fast. It sold for a best offer of $15 minus Poshmark's $3 fee. I was left with $12. The next item that sold you guys might recognize because it was in one of my more recent hauls. It was this chunky cable knit sweater from the brand Ecote or Ecote. I don't exactly know how to pronounce it, but it is an Anthropologie brand. It was just a really basic coral cable knit sweater. It was super soft, super chunky, and oversized. It ended up selling, I think, in about 6 or 7 days, so it took about a full week to sell for a best offer of $20 minus Poshmark's $4 fee. I was left with 16 bucks. The next thing that sold quickly in the month of February was a pair of suede woven sneakers from Tom's. I don't find Tom's all too often, but when I do, I love to pick them up if they're in good condition, and these were practically brand new. Literally, the only flaw on them was the price mark on the bottom of them drawn on by Sharpie from a thrift store employee, which came out pretty much immediately since they were rubber soles. I had listed them for I think $34. Looking at comps, that seemed like a good place to start. They immediately picked up a ton of likes on both Poshmark and Mercari, and I had sent out a private offer of $30 minus $180 shipping. After Poshmark's 20% fee of $6 and the $180 shipping discount that I sent out, I was left with $22.20. Next up is yet another Ann Taylor top. I'm telling you, if you can find these tops for a good price in good condition, I definitely recommend picking them up because they always sell really quickly for me, and they're definitely one of my closet staples. This one was just a basic tan sleeveless blouse. It had a leaf print on the front, and it had kind of a slit in the neck. I listed it for $24 because I didn't pay too much for it, and within a few hours of listing it, it sold for full asking price. Minus Poshmark's 20% fee, I was left with $19.40. The next item was a striped layered linen tank top from Athleta. Athleta's basics do really well for me. They usually sell pretty quickly. This one sold within I think 2 days to a repeat customer, which made me really happy. I think I had listed it around $25 and she offered me $20 within a few days of listing, and since she was a repeat customer and that was still a pretty fair offer anyways, I very happily accepted her offer. So after a best offer of $20 minus Poshmark's 20% fee, I was left with $16. The next thing that sold was actually a Mercari sale. I didn't make too many sales on Mercari this month. Poshmark is definitely my main platform, but toward the end of the month, Mercari definitely came alive a little bit. I actually just sold something like an hour ago on Mercari, so I should definitely take that back. Hopefully March will be a much better month for me on Mercari. You might recognize the item that sold quickly next because it was in one of my more recent hauls. It was that gray metallic sweatshirt that said Merry and Bright on it from American Eagle. I picked it up because it was too adorable to leave behind. I just loved it so much, and apparently the person who bought it did too because it picked up several likes on Poshmark and Mercari, and within 1 day of listing it, I got an offer of $20 on Mercari, which I accepted. After Mercari's selling fee of 10%, which took out $2, I also offered free shipping on this item, which took out another $4.25. So I was left with $13.75 for this this Christmas sweatshirt that sold in February. The next thing that sold was another very basic floral boho blouse. This one was from the brand Pleon. I don't remember if it was in one of my more recent hauls or not. Pleon is a brand carried at Nordstrom, and if you can get them for cheap enough and in good condition, I definitely recommend picking them up because this is my second time selling one of their items, and both ended up selling within a day of listing them, so I was really happy. The one that I sold this month, however, sold for full asking price of $24 within a day of listing it. After Poshmark's 20% fee, I was left with $19.20. The next thing that sold was another Loft piece. Again, guys, don't sleep on Loft. They are one of my favorite brands because they sell very quickly for me every single time. It was also a Mercari sale, which was kind of nice. It was a tweed pinstripe blazer that I think was in one of my most recent hauls. I don't remember. Again, I have really bad memory, so I don't entirely remember, but it sold on Mercari for a best offer of $30 within, I think, 2 days of listing it, so I was definitely happy with that. After Mercari's fee of 10%, which took out $3, and the $4.25 shipping discount that I sent out since I offer free shipping on all my Mercari items, I was left with $22.75. The next thing that sold quickly was a Poshmark sale, and it was an Altered State medallion printed romper. Altered State has been selling really quickly for me lately. It doesn't go for a whole ton of money, usually $20 to $29, but if you can get it for a good price and in good condition, I definitely recommend picking it up. My hair is getting all up in my face. I had listed this one on Poshmark and Mercari, and immediately on both platforms it picked up a ton of likes. I feel like this was just a really great summer piece, and so it was definitely a very popular item in my closet at the time. I had listed it, I think, around $25, and I ended up taking a best offer on Poshmark for $20. After their 20% fee, I was left with $16 for that sale. The next item that sold was actually an eBay sale, which is kind of surprising because if you follow on Instagram, you know I'm not a huge fan of eBay just because they're not a huge fan of me. I just find that my items sell better and faster on Mercari and Poshmark, so I've been trying to list over on eBay more just to get a little more traction over there, hoping that if I keep on putting the time into it, that it'll give time back to me. But the next item that sold was a bell sleeve sweater from Loft. It sold actually for full asking price on eBay for $24, plus I think $7 something that the buyer paid for shipping. My memory card just filled up completely, so I had to switch memory cards, and now we're back. Only 2 items left, and the next thing that sold was a Mercari sale. It was a Postmark for Anthropology tweed short sleeve top. It was kind of like a sweater, but kind of like a top. It was actually layered, so it was like it had a tank underneath it. It had a pointy little collar, and it was also layered there as well. It had kind of like a raw fringe almost coming from the tank. It ended up getting a lot of attention from both Poshmark and Mercari, but it ended up selling on Mercari. I think I listed it at $34 originally, but I ended up taking a best offer of $28 after it had been listed for I think 3 or 4 days, so it was a pretty quick flip. After Mercari's fee of $2.80 and the shipping discount that I sent out for $4.25, I was left with $20.95. And then the last item I'm going to be sharing with you guys that sold quickly in the month of February was a pair of rolled hem jeans from Holding Horses for Anthropology. This one was a Poshmark sale, and it sold within I think 2 days of listing it. They ended up selling for an offers to likers price of $29 minus the $180 shipping discount that I had sent out and the $5.80 fee that Poshmark takes. I was left with $21.40. And that's it for this video. Those are some things that sold for me in February within a week of listing them. I really hope that these videos are helpful to you guys. I know I like seeing what people are actually selling in real time. As usual, also make sure you guys comment below your Poshmark handles and your Instagram names. That way I can stalk you guys over on social media and send you guys some Posh love. If you enjoyed this video or found it helpful, please give it a thumbs up. I would appreciate it so much. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!